Sorry about that. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Just make sure you guys can hear me okay. Today is Daily Cyber episode 282. I have a great guest that's going to be coming today. Before we get started, I want to do a little bit of a rant right now and just kind of give you guys some insight. I had a client I was working with this week, right? Professional services, MSP, like great partners, things along that line. And we got in a little bit of discussion. I want you guys to make a notice: due diligence and due care. Due diligence and due care. You know, doing your research, due diligence, going through your process, making sure you have all your T's crossed, your I dot, making sure you're going through each area, each line, a level of information, right? Strategic planning, all that detail, really getting that down. And then due care, do what a prudent person would do. What would a colleague setting a certain standard do in a situation similar to yours? What I got into the situation, and I'm just going to be quick because I want to bring my guest on. I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about today. But I got into discussion about just it's good enough. Just throw it over the fence. Just get it done. And I don't accept that. I think we all need to have a high level of standard of what we do, especially in cybersecurity, because just getting it done, just having it implemented, just putting it in place is not secure. It's checking a box. We don't check boxes here, right? We do our due diligence and we make sure we get things done properly, right? And depending if you're going to do a pen test, a vulnerability assessment, you're going to have an audit after. You want to make sure you've gotten to the highest standard that you could, and then learn. We're always going to learn. We're always going to develop. We're always going to, go from there. But I want to make sure that you guys get that for today: due diligence and due care. Write that down, follow that, study that, pursuit of excellence. Okay. I wanted to put that out there because I was dealing with that this week, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to push my team to be that way. And I'm not going to accept mediocrity. I'm not going to accept low standards. So today I'm really excited. I have a guest on here. His name's Oscar. Oscar's the founder and inventor behind the Space Safe, the next generation connected safe built to close the gap between physical security and real world cyber risk. For the past 15 years, he has worked in product development and sales, building and scaling businesses from zero to multi-million dollars in revenue. He grew up in a household with limited means, which hardwired him to be resourceful, direct, focused, and finding solutions to real problems. It taught him a real meaning of value, security, and trust. So grab a coffee, grab a tea, and let's hack at it. How's it going, Oscar? How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on? I'm great. How are you?
I'm awesome. Awesome day, busy week. It's already only Wednesday, and I'm already like, when's Friday? When's the week over? How about yourself?
Man, as an entrepreneur, there is no such thing as the end of the week. Every day is a work day.
See, now this is the thing I would say. I would agree when I was younger, like just balls out, 80 hours a week. Yeah, family, you'll put it in when you get the chance. As you get older, and I'm going to talk myself, you realize I got to have balance. I got to sleep. Like I can't go like that. When I'm in my 20s and 30s, 100%. I do that now. I feel like I've had a hangover. I'm like, I need 2 days to recover, right? There's no way I can do sprints like that at my age right now. And I mean, I don't look old, but I'm like, I feel it when I do like 24 hours, 40 hours straight, no sleep, whatever. It's like 2 days to recover.
Yeah, and you know what? You're totally right. It hits differently when you're a little older. But I still think, like, as an entrepreneur, you still have that, like, I have days that I'm working sometimes 12 hours a day for 5-6 days, and then I'll disappear for 3 days.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just, I think the schedule is just different. And
well, you work harder, and you work smarter, right? You work smarter.
Yeah, you work
harder,
smarter.
Right? Because you're more efficient now. You realize, and I remember reading the book with Tim Ferriss, The 4 Hour Work Week, setting systems in place that can make you more efficient. that can do the things where you would do it yourself. You would kind of go, okay, I got that. And I know when I was building up my business, 2001, 2002, I would do everything. I'd be the cleaner, the accountant, right? The person doing the IT, like everything, right? And then like, as the revenues come in, I started to kind of hoard it. Then I got older and more experienced. I'm like, no, I got to hire people. I got to scale. I got to step back from these areas where I can hire good people to do that work, and then start to kind of move out and do other things, grow the business, be a dreamer, right? Be that CEO, right?
Yeah, and to that point, I think that's why also, to be alive in this era that we have like 50,000 different AI tools that you could use, really helps, super startups also. Um,
100%.
for me, I'm like, I don't use AI as much as I should, and I have the people in the company that handle a lot. But for anybody who's starting out today, I think AI is like incredible tool to use.
It is, and I think there's a balance of that. And I mean, we're going to kind of go into that probably conversation later. And I really want to jump into this because I think it's important, the physical security side.
Yeah,
We all talk about pen testing, vulnerability assessment. We get into like the technical side, right? You're going like compliances and policies and documentation, endpoint protection, SIM. I think people don't really think about like, do you still need a physical safe? Like, we're in a digital age. It's all, everything's online. It's in the cloud. It's, it's on a hard drive, whatever that may be. And I want to ask you, just to start off, like, why did you pick the safe industry?
so I actually had a personal experience, totally stunk. Basically, in my family, we had something that was stolen from us. We did not have a safe, and after we had this loss, this financial loss, a watch was stolen, some jewelry was stolen. They're like, oh my God, I could have spent $1,000 and protected these valuables that are worth $50,000 or $100,000, whatever they ended up stealing. And I started looking for a safe that, has is not just like this ugly box with like a little
Right.
$6 digital keypad. I was looking for something that could actually protect this my valuables, and at the same time, living in the 21st century, it should have some tech in it. And I was really finding it difficult to find something out there that would be that product.
Right.
And so,
Kind of found that gap in the industry, right?
yeah, I kind of found that gap. And there were about like 3 different smart safes at the time when I came out with the space safe. And they were like, 2 of them were plastic safes. I mean, why would you want a plastic safe if you're hiding something? You take a little sledgehammer and the thing is going to break into 17 million pieces.
Right.
And then the other is, it just, the other one that was like decent, I tried, I bought it, and it wouldn't work for me. I was getting locked out. Like, I would get authenticated and the safe just wouldn't open. And I'm like, this is horrible.
Right.
Yeah, kind of saw a gap. And as a creator myself, as a developer, I saw an opportunity and kind of jumped on it. And I said, this is my next. This is God is speaking to me. I don't know if you're a spiritual person, but
Right. Okay.
he's speaking to me. He's sending me this sign, and hopefully, with this loss of, let's say, $50,000 to $100,000 that we lost in jewelry, maybe this is worth where all of a sudden I could make millions and millions of dollars with putting out like an actual secure safe that also connects to the internet, and gives you these modern features that
Right.
no other safe has.
Right. And we'll talk about the connectivity because I mean, we're security, stream podcast here. We'll talk about that. My question to you is, like, why do I need a safe? Like, I mean, you were talking about personal, but talking about business, organizations, companies, what's the need for a safe in this day and age?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you. I had 2 phone calls yesterday with 2 different companies, and I think that'll just be a nice answer for you. But yesterday I had a call with a law firm,
Mm-hmm.
and they were asking, they're like a medium-sized law firm, and they were telling me that they want to buy between 50 and 100 safes. That way, each what's it called? Each lawyer
Yeah.
will have in their office a safe, and that way they could track what's happening. If they want to keep like really sensitive documents in there, they're able to do that. They also have like thumb drives and hard drives that they want to throw in there.
Right.
And I guess really what separates my safe with every other safe is we keep an audit trail.
Right.
We have cameras, so it's not just like, hey, Brandon, open this safe. It'll say Brandon opened this safe at this time,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll also have a camera footage of you doing it. We have cameras inside and outside, so not only would it show you opening the safe, but once you start getting stuff out, it'll show you exactly what somebody's taking.
Right.
And that's one of our business cases. Another one is we had like a health office. I don't know how to say that, but like a large. They have dentists and like clinics,
Okay.
over 1,000 different locations, and they called and they were like, "Hey, look, this is exactly what I'm needing, what I'm looking for. We have safes now. There's no way to track if somebody is opening the safe. We're not able to go and change the PIN code all the time. So we're looking for something that gives us control, visibility, an audit trail, and that way we can monitor everything, because they have drugs and some other things that they're putting in, and that's just an example of another type of business."
Right. So basically, from what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, they're really looking at key documentations or some sort of material, be it, you have talking about pharmaceuticals and medication to whatever. They're looking at a better way to store it physically, right?
Yes.
Right. And there's a lot of things that you're talking about, but you're talking about, like, and I'll use this example, the audit trail, which helps with compliance, right? And helps with regulatory, because how do you know who accessed that, when they access, and do you have a paper trail? Do you have logs? Do you have logs to show that Brandon went in at 9:00 in the morning and logged in that safe? Now you can say with yours is, yes, you do. So I know from the security side, when we're looking at some smaller companies might have local storage backups, like, physical drives, like flash drives, whatever that may be, because they don't pay for, Veeam or big solutions. So they might have hard drives, right? And they might have physical drives or this and that they're saving into some sort of offline storage, that just in case there's an event happens, they can do that. Now, we talked about this when we were first initially kind of connecting, fire safe, waterproof, kind of all that, just in case something does happen, they can go in that. And then, like, what I'm saying is, the other side of it is not only in the office, they can have this offsite at their home. And if someone breaks in the office, there's a fire, there's something happens there, they have offsite backups at a different location that is now in a safe, that is now secure. So some of those things when I was talking to you, I was thinking about, like, oh, there's other use cases that I see day to day, on top of, don't give me personal security and things along that line, your valuables, do corporate, use cases where it's documentation, legal documents, policies, documentation you might want to have. Even some of the people have it in a flash drive, but they want to keep it in a secure location. Well, now you can use a physical safe, right? Versus someone has a locked office in their drawer. Now it's in their locked office in a safe that you have an audit trail.
Yeah, and on top of it, like restaurants also, they need to keep cash on hand, but there's a lot of different use cases that we've seen, customers, different type of customers who have different use cases, and I mean, there's no one size fits all in terms of what somebody is using it for, but I from what I've found, and this is an unbiased thing, is what I found is people are willing to pay a little more money, so they have all of those features, because traditional safes just don't have it.
Right. Yeah, and they're willing to invest because, again, from what I see on the business side, there's a paper trail, there's documentation, right? There's access control, there's things that they can do, that they can say, I know, one, who I've granted access, so least privileges on our side. It's only 2 people that should have access to that safe, and then I can now track, is those two people going in? And then also I'm going to assume you have some sort of tracking where if like a fraudulent person, suspicious actor goes in and tries to do that, there's some sort of alerting.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
And the alerting is actually the most annoying alerting I've ever heard come out of a safe in my life.
Okay. Now you designed it. Let's be fair
here. Yeah. It's true. Our speaker is like 130 decibels.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that, but like
bit.
if you go to like a club,
yeah,
you're getting around 100 decibels, 105 decibels if it's like really loud. 130 decibels, especially when you're in like a closed room, it's really, really loud. And I that other safe that I was telling you about in the beginning of our talk just now, when there was one time I didn't get authenticated and the alarm went off and it was like beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, this is not stopping anyone. This alarm is a disaster. So yeah, and you're right. I built it. I'm a little biased, but
well, no, and it's a deterrent. Don't get me wrong, because now you can't really break in the safe when you're like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I totally get that. Now we've got a question from one of the viewers that are watching. With being in physical side of security, how have you guys triaged natural disasters like power loss or stuff like that? So, prime example, you're in a building. Like, does your safe need power? Does it have backup power?
Yeah, great question. So, our safe does require the safe to be plugged in 24/7. You could think of it as like an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Your iPad only has so much battery that it could stay on standby. We do have a backup battery on the safe, and we're constantly doing improvements to do like low power mode version where it'll extend the battery life as much as it can. The idea is that if you could get 24 hours of battery life through the backup battery, that's our goal. That's what we're aiming for.
So what's the current standard right now?
I think we're at like 12%. We just actually increased the battery size. And we're running tests on that sometime in like mid-January, because between that and the low power mode that we're improving, I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna go somewhere like 20%, 20 hours, and then we'll be able to keep going from there.
So in context here, so I lose power, right? Yeah. You right now have your safe that it's going to roughly last about 20 hours.
Correct.
Now, what happens at that 20-hour mark? So we had a disaster, fires in the building. It's taken them 24 hours to go through the rubble, find my safe. Now, it hasn't had power for 24 hours. Can I still get access to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two ways you could get access to it. The type of power that we use to power up the device is a USB-C. So it's not like some custom type of power adapter. We're using a standard USB-C. That way, if somebody wants to get a longer wire, our power cable comes with like a 12-foot cable. But if you decide you want like 25 feet or wherever your outlet, maybe it's not so close, that's one of the reasons. And the second thing is, if you want to use a backup battery, the same kind of backup batteries that you would use to power up your cell phone, if you want to use that to charge up your safe, you could do that. That's one. Number two is the safe comes with three keys, three backup keys. And we've partnered up with a company called Eva. They are an incredible company, high security locks that they do in Europe. And this lock was actually LPL, the lock-picking lawyer, approved this lock as like one of like a great lock that people should use. And so that's why we use that. So you have two options if the power goes out.
Okay, and that's perfect. I mean, I think that's a concern too. I mean, like when you're looking at anything that's powered, you're looking at a UPS or backup supply or whatever that may be, like, and then is it dead? But I mean, what you're saying is, yeah, the power might be out. And from what I'm assuming, right, my hypothesis, there's no logging at that point. There's no video, like stuff like that. But it's still the safe is, secure. Now you just have to physically get into the safe by using a key.
Exactly. Yes. And so if the power is out and you use the key, then it won't log it.
Okay.
If the power is up and you use the key, it gets logged. So you're 100% correct on that.
Okay. Now, what about in the case, for example, power is out, it's on battery. How is it logging the access? So say power runs out. I'm like, okay, screw this company. I'm going to take everything they have. I'm trying to find the safe and I'm going in. Does it need Wi-Fi access? Is it logging locally? Like how does it retain those logs?
Yeah, so it's retained locally and everything gets backed up onto the cloud. The cloud is encrypted. It's through AWS. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll probably end up speaking about that after also.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything goes onto the cloud. So essentially, if you lose Wi-Fi, then it would not upload any data to the cloud, but you would get a notification if the cloud does not find your device connected. So right. If after a certain amount of time, there's no device, your phone is going to get a notification that says the space safe has lost power or the space safe has lost internet connection. And you as the owner would want to say like, hey, maybe what's up? I know right. There's a power outage or that's a little fishy. That should not happen.
Okay. So then you're going to go and investigate, right?
Yeah. And we've had a lot of customers who've asked us like, is there another solution? Because that's a little scary. And we've told them, if you want, you could always have, what's it called? Like a hotspot, like T-Mobile and all those guys, they offer hotspots. So if you want something that's not on your Wi-Fi, that's completely off the grid, you could do something like that. That way you're always connected and always having up to date. And inside the safe, we have USB ports. So you could just leave it inside the safe, plug it in, and it would be good to go.
Are the USB ports accessible externally?
So we have...
Just the power? Is that the only one?
Yes, the power is the only one.
Okay. Have you guys done a pen test against the actual safe?
What's a pen test?
Sorry. So I have like a security expert come and try to break into the safe.
Not yet, but we do have a company in Europe that's all they do, and we do plan to send them a bunch of safes to do that with.
Okay, so that's kind of in the forecast year that we're doing, because I know one of the questions the team was asking right now was like the USB kill is a kind of an attack methodology to get in through like the USB port you're talking about. So that's what I was wondering if you kind of went through that methodology to kind of go through and see if like, hey, can someone actually compromise? Then, I mean, again, as well as I do, can you compromise the lock? Can you compromise the hinges? Can you compromise this? Can you compromise USB? How secure is it? Because some of the things you look at and you're like, oh, everything's secure. And they go, oh, I plugged in this. And all of a sudden I compromised the USB and now the safe just opens. You're like, really? That easy?
We have a block on the USB. It's I don't know the details of it, but I do know that it's blocked. And from what I understand with the developers, because I'm not a developer, but from what I understand is we have like special codes internally to be able to get into that, and it's only like high up people who have those accesses to get into USB. That's number one. Number two, even with the USB, there are no we don't have that scenario where if you plug in, we don't have like an open API where you could just say like, open the safe. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Which is good. I mean, that's good. And I think some things on the security side, and I'm going to say that my hypothesis for the actual people viewing and the community is they like to hear that statistics. Like, have you had someone come in and use all their toolkit and see, how far could they have gone, right? They've tried everything. They tried, manipulating like the app potentially you might have that's going to Azure, all that, logging. every way, Wi-Fi, the connectivity, have they been able to test it to make sure everything's secure? And then where does that stand? Because I think that tells a good story for the security community too.
Yeah.
That, oh, hey, you know what? Yeah, we've done our due diligence on that side too. Not only like, and we talked about the physical security, the fire, the water, like the actual, the lock, all that has great, standards of security. But now it's a question of like most of these guys, like, and I think that way too is, and we talked about that. What level of encryption you have? What's this? What's that? And you're like, well, that's great questions, right? And we were talking about that, and we'll get into that. I think we have both sides of the fence here. You have the physical security, which people think, okay, I want to protect my valuables. But then you think the other side of the community is, well, can we compromise it? Can we get into it? Like, is there a way to do that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give a short, unbiased answer. We do testing for as much as we can, and that's part of the reason. Also, we have, for us, it's approved in the manner that we think it's good enough and it's great. And that's why we have this company in Europe that's hired, that they're not available till January to start.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why we are hiring them. But then, the other thing, the other extreme is, and I think I said this to you before also, is anything in the world can technically be broken into. Anything in the world could be hacked.
Right.
You have NSA that's been hacked. You have IBM. You have Apple, FBI. All of these. If you have enough resources, enough energy, if you have enough hacking capabilities, also, because you need different level of type of hackers. Anything in the world, if you put enough into it, is you could, like, anybody could open anything in the world.
Right.
And I want to make that clear.
Right.
There's no such thing, whether it's my safe or anything could technically be broken into with enough time and energy and resources.
Right. And I think the deterrent, on my behalf, is like you're talking about, the deterrent is you've set levels of security alerting, right, to mitigate that someone wouldn't have that availability to be able to spend hours, if not days, and weeks in front of your safe trying to pick away at a company. There's mitigating factors, meaning alerting, the power, like all these things that someone should be going to check it out. When I worked physical security, we would have alarms and alerts and notifications and things along that line. If something was happening, someone would, access an egress door, an exit door, whatever that may be, someone would go off, we'd get alert and we'd go check it out. It's not like we would sit and wait. Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah. No, that's fine. No, we go and investigate. Did the wind open it? Did someone try to open up? Like sometimes, certain buildings I work on, someone leave the door ajar, right? Because they'd go out and run to their car and try that, but they didn't want to use their key to get back in. There's all these different factors. Now, when I put the relation to the safe, now you're looking at that and you're like, okay, there's an alert. I got to go get someone to check it out. So the time is limited, right? It should be shorter, within a couple hours, that someone should be checking out that safe.
Yeah, I would assume much quicker than a couple hours. I think if you got a text message from us that said somebody's tampering with your safe,
yeah,
you're in 60 seconds or less, you're probably calling, if somebody's home, you're calling them and figuring out, like, hey, what's up? Or if you're not, you're calling the police and you're sending them to your home,
Right.
I think, for me, one of the most valuable things that I love about having a safe like this with notifications is if you have more than one home. Right now I'm in the office, right now I have my safe is in my house. If somebody breaks into my home, I'm going to get a notification that somebody's tampering with my safe. I also, today, actually, I have a cleaning lady that comes every couple of weeks. Today is the day that she's there. And if she's playing with my safe, I trust her. I trust her impeccably.
Yeah. So let's put that out there first, just in case she sees whatever. We're not saying she's doing anything wrong, right? It's in case a rabbit breaks into your house and a rabbit does, not your cleaner. We don't want to throw your cleaner in the bus, because then she's like, what did I do? I've been doing such a great job, right?
Yeah, but but that's the whole thing. You also don't know, because I have somebody who had a cleaner for 5 years, and the cleaner stole
Right.
wiped her out with things in her safe. I don't know how she got the code, but my friend wasn't home and they took everything. But
And
that's
it
why,
happens.
like, if you had, and I'm not saying it should be my safe. I'm saying everybody should have a safe, and it would be great if your safe had notifications. That way you get notified.
100%. And I think what happens is the thing that we all know too is like people's people's lives change. It could be circumstantial. They could be going on a hard times. It'd be a time of taking an advantage, right? They see an opportunity. There's all different levels. When I was, again, working physical security, sometimes you would see it's not just criminals. It's people of opportunity because they're having rough times. They're doing something, they're making bad choices or they're making choices that they can because they're in that situation. Now, I'm not saying you should be doing that. I'm just saying these things happen. We're putting mitigating factors in place, like a safe, to make sure if that situation happens with a colleague, a family member, someone that's in your close circle that might have visibility to that area, they can't get access to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because and I'm going to talk about employment. We have companies, we have people have staff leaving in and out. Like you have contractors come in, you have cleaners, you have delivery people all coming in, you have staff that rotate in and out and they transition. Good employees, people leave on their own decision, maybe whatever happens. But there's a revolving circle where people would know where secure areas are, right? And then you want to make sure that those areas are not only just the office is secure, but the information in those offices being in a safe is also secure as well.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's no secret. People who own safes talk about it. They tell people, "Yeah, I have a safe." Oh, where do you keep your safe? I keep my safe here. And it's funny because
Right.
statistically, it's something like 80% of people who get their safes broken into are from people that they know.
Right.
Because they're telling them. I mean,
Crimes of
I'll
opportunity.
probably, yeah. There's nothing wrong with like saying like, "Hey, do you have a safe? Should I buy a safe?" Yeah, I have a safe. Oh, where do you keep your safe? You would just never know that, they may be going after you. And like you said, I mean, we're in a time where inflation is high, the cost of living is high. People, the average person does not make enough money, and be, because living expenses are so high, it's normal that people are going to steal. Whether it's a piece of bread from a bakery without anybody looking, or if they're in debt or something else,
Right.
they may go for a safe. Yeah.
100%. Now, anything else that people ask for you, like going on the concerns what people have for like the safes, any other reason why someone would come to you for a safe, or you've heard like scenarios? Like I'm thinking like paper documentation, things like that. I talked about security, firearms potentially. Like there's all different,
Yeah.
variations of it.
Yeah. I've had people have asked me about like I think they're called dry wallets.
Okay.
People have asked me like, "Hey, could I store my dry wallet in there?"
Mhm.
Medications, contracts, guns. Guns is a big one.
Mhm.
I met somebody about a year ago who told me that he had a kid. Maybe his kid was 8 or 12. I forget the age. It was around that, where he told me the kid had a friend over. They went into his safe and they opened the safe, and he showed his friend his dad's gun.
Right.
You know, for me that would freak me out.
Right.
And one of the things that I love about my safe, and again, I'm biased, of course, but
Yep.
these features exist
Mhm.
because I'm biased. Is we have not only do we have like notifications, not only do we have cameras and an audit trail, but we also have the ability to do two-factor authentication,
Right.
whether that's locally, which means a PIN code and a fingerprint, or if you want to use like a Google authenticator, which is time based and changes every 30 seconds, we also have that.
Right.
Um, and then the last other layer of security that we have, for which is great for if you're trying to lock out kids or anything else like that, is we also have screensavers.
Right.
And these screensavers are incredible, where you cannot unlock the screen unless you select a specific spot on the screen.
Right. Yeah, and it makes sense. Let's kind of jump in a little bit about when one of the things that we want to talk about, like I do, is about security, right? Security of the safe and things along that line. Like, how safe is your safe?
How safe is the safe?
Right. And we'll talk about first about physical, because I know what when we talked about okay, fire, like, you know, water damage, things along that line. Walk me through that.
Yeah. So we have our safe is not we don't have a fireproof rating, and it's not waterproof.
Right.
The reason is we have pre-drilled holes. So there's an opening, a gap. Our safe is about 60 pounds, and so you're either choosing like, hey, do you want to bolt this into the wall and to the floor, or do I want to have this fireproof? And for us, we chose as a company, and it doesn't mean we're not going to have another safe in 6 months or 12 months that'll be only fireproof. But this specific model is not fireproof, and it's not water. It's not what was the other one?
Fireproof and waterproof.
Yeah, fireproof and waterproof. But we do have temperature and humidity sensors. So if something's happening, instead of waiting for the fire department to get there, you could instantly be notified. If like your safe gets 10 degrees warmer or 20 degrees warmer, you're going to know that there's a reason for that. You asked me how secure it is. I spoke about the lock before. The average lock, so our safe retails for $12.99. That's about $1,300, right? The average lock that people use on safes for something that's like a $1,000 safe or less, you're talking about locks that cost them like $5 or $10.
Yeah, because they're mass manufacturing.
Yeah, I mean, these things they're coming from China. They're watching every single dollar counts, and so they're giving you the ability to unlock a safe with a key, but they're not secure. Right. And so, right. So in terms of physical security, we're talking about there's you have a lock, and then after that, it's the actual metal.
Right.
Do you have metal? Do you have plastic? I would probably say that our safe is in terms of like security, the thickness of the metal, we're better than any safe that's under $800. And so we are in the next tier of safes.
Right.
And so again, this is this kind of safe. This is this model safe. We have other safes that we're planning to come out with over the next 12 months, which will have different security levels, much thicker metal or maybe thinner metal if you want something that's more portable. But for this specific safe, that's what you're getting. It's a good quality safe. Okay. It really is.
Now let's talk about the digital security. I mean, this is something that I was really interested in. So you got all these functionalities and features, right? That you can get alerting, you can get notifications, you've got video going to the cloud. Walk me through, like, do you have level of encryption on the data, right? Do you encrypt that? How secure is that communication? Can I get access to it? Do you have access in the sense of that communication now going to Azure? Have you guys now secured that? Like, walk me through that.
Yeah, I'm going to mention it in two different ways. The first thing I want to mention is, at the company, we don't have any ability to see anybody's footage. We don't have access to any of that stuff, right? So that's something I wanted to point out in the beginning. I don't have the ability to go and unlock somebody's safe, and nobody in my company has that ability either. Right. So that's something that's, I want to put out there first. The second thing is, because I know we had a competitor that did do that about a year or 2 years ago. I think they they gave access to like the FBI to one of their customers' safes,
Okay.
and it was not cool at all. Yeah,
Right.
that's number one. Number two, everything is encrypted locally on the safe.
Okay.
The safe, when I say it's locally, there's this little SD card that's on the safe that keeps everything on there and that
Right.
keeps all the information. That stuff is all encrypted.
Okay.
Now, we use AWS and they have a high encryption also. And whatever is passing from the safe to the back end, from the way I understand it, from the developers, are everything is encrypted
Mhm.
and it stays locally encrypted on the cloud also.
Okay. So you have encryption at rest in the safe with an
Yeah.
SD card. Then you got encryption in motion, so your traffic is encrypted. And then
Yes,
on the Azure server, you're encrypted, which now only the customer has access to that. Is that my
correct.
understanding?
That's exactly. So now when you have the mobile app on your phone, that's where you're getting access. I don't know if I think it decrypts on the phone itself. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
But yeah,
And then through that, and you said it was two-factor authentication to be able to log into the Azure portal.
yes, exactly. For the developers, they all require 2FA. For your cell phone, you require another PIN code to get into the mobile app.
Okay.
And you are allowed to set as many different layers of security on the safe as you want also.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So you have options, right? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Like my grandmother, she may not want 2FA.
Right.
She may just want to put in 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good enough for her. So
Right.
you could dumb it down to the most simple authentication. Or if you're somebody who cares about security and you're like, no, this is going to have as many layers as I want, you can have that.
Okay. Now, are you guys looking to enhance the security?
Always.
Okay.
Always. We're always so so as a company, a lot of features that we've added have been features that customers have requested.
Right.
So people say like, hey, it would be cool if like the screensaver thing, we didn't come up with that ourselves. We had a customer who said, hey, I would like to have screensavers. That way people don't know that this is a safe.
Right.
And then we started adding a weather screensaver, a calendar screensaver. So it shows all your calendar events if you want, right? Everything is optional if you want.
Mhm.
And our safe has over-the-air updates.
Right.
So as we're coming out with new features, once we test them, once we're happy with them, we're able to roll them out to any safe that's online.
So then that's another question. So you have to maintain like patch management program with the safe then.
Yeah, we have that. It's
Yeah, but now
internal.
for me as a client or a customer of you, I have to do that too now, right?
Coming in?
So for example, I have your safe. I have it in my office. You have an update. Maybe you find a flaw. You have some sort of patch that's coming out. I have to now maintain that safe update.
You don't have to do anything. If you want to turn it on automatic, you could turn it on automatic.
Okay, but yeah, let's kind of walk through that because I mean something that because you have software, because you have applications on there, one of the things that your developers will come up is there's going to be vulnerabilities. There's going to be code updates, things along that line.
Of course.
What's going to happen is there's going to be a shared relationship between the organization and the actual user themselves that they're going to have to patch that. You're going to come up with a vulnerability that you guys have found. It happens with all companies. It's not saying you specifically, but all companies come up with that version 1.2, version 1.3, version 2, and so forth. That now I have to maintain that because I want to make sure, and I'm using this as a company, and I want to use all the functions and features. I have to maintain that. So if there's a new update because there's a vulnerability, because if it's online, you guys have found something, I have to go in now and make sure it's patched. So something to think about.
Yeah, you don't have to. We have the option where you could turn on automatic updates if you want, or turn it off. And by default, all safes come with it as automatic. Now, if somebody wants to turn it off for any reason, they could do that. But
Right.
the average user is not as sophisticated as you or I.
Right.
So we try to make as many things default on for them, for that purpose.
Right.
But again, you could turn the same way if you go into your cell phone and you go into settings, you have 100 different options for different things. We have something like that for our